Hello friends, welcome back to This Week in JavaScript, where I talk about things I find interesting. We're already a full week into Hacktoberfest. In case you've been living under a rock and don't know what it is, Hacktoberfest is an annual event held by DigitalOcean where they encourage open source contributions. They give out prizes such as t-shirts and stickers for making open source contributions. It's one of the more fun events of the year, and this time they made it opt-in, so it should decrease a lot of the spam that open source repos are receiving. If you've never contributed to open source before, but you're curious about it, head on over to the Hacktoberfest website and click on the Start Hacking button. I know if you've never contributed to open source before, it can be very intimidating. So I'd like to recommend an article, How to Contribute to Open Source Projects as a Beginner by Catalan. In this guide, he has a step-by-step on all the detailed instructions you're going to need to contribute to open source. And I think this article is a must for any first-time contributors. Next up is Remix. This is a new React framework. It's still in pre-release, so we can't play with it yet, but it has a lot of really interesting features, like file system routing and improved asynchronous handling. And because this is by the team who has created React Router, we're all expecting great things from it. No word yet on a release date, but sign up on their mailing list to be notified. Next up is Mocky, the world's easiest and fastest tool belt to mock your APIs. Maki is a free service with almost no limitations, allowing you to set up mock APIs in just a couple of seconds. The mocks will be available forever just as long as you hit them once a year, and there's no limits on usage other than the 100 requests per second, and that's just to keep abuse down. So get rid of mock data in your code, get rid of your mocking service, and try Maki instead. Next up is an article by Sebastian Lorber titled, "I can't write a JavaScript for loop and it does not matter." Most of us take for loops for granted because at this point they're just muscle memory. But a for loop is actually a very complicated thing, especially in JavaScript, because we have the for I loop, we have for in, and we also have for of. And those loops could operate differently based on whether you use var or let. And it's a lot to think about to create a loop. Though it's because of the repetition of writing for loops that it's now become muscle memory and we've forgotten how complex a for loop actually is. And so this article is interesting because it's from the perspective of a functional programmer that's looking at imperative code. And in this article, he doesn't tell you not to write a for loop, but he does have some points that I found very interesting. And this week's shout out goes to Sydney Buckner, who describes herself as a software engineer, content creator, teacher, and certified nerdy girl. She has a lot of great content on YouTube and Twitter, so check out both of those and subscribe to her mailing list. And that's it for This Week in JavaScript, and I'll see you in the next video.